And we are live. We are live because it says we're live. Hello, guys. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're managing to keep in a good place. It's not easy, is it? So much things happening, but we've got to rely on each other to keep ourselves in an even place. So, as much as I try to inform people on this stream, I do try to just portray to people that not everyone's losing this shit at this moment in time. So, with that, hello and welcome along to the stream. This is Red Pill Phil with a very special guest today, a guest by the name of Francis Boulle. I've got to thank the man Great Brit for this, for finding and basically putting me in touch with this chap. Yes, playing their usual games, mate. They're always playing the games. How do you do, everyone? Hello, all these people have popped on straight away. Excellente. Let's go through some. Stefan, yes. Children Matter, yes. Kater, my stuff, Tina, Brett, Cole, the usual suspects. And hello to anyone else who's watching, anyone retrospectively, new subbers, old subbers, you know the deal. Love you all, even the pissing haters. Right, okay, so let's get back to business. This man, he's got a very interesting story. This man, as you'll see, he'll explain himself. He's probably one of the most eloquent geezers I've spoke to in a good while. Seems to have his head well and truly screwed on. Seems to want to stand up for what he feels is right, and fair play to him. No doubt he's took the crap for it. He's ultimately lost his job over his beliefs as well. So, without ado, I'm going to just shortly get to it. Right, where are we? Let's start this properly. Red Pill Phil on YouTube.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep.
Oh, goddamn hacker, that second damn night that asshole's cut in.
Yes, without further ado, let's bring the man in. How are you doing, Francis Boulle? Are you okay, mate?
Hello, everybody, and hello, Phil. Thank you so much for inviting me over, and I'm very well. How are you?
Absolutely fine, sir. Considering the world is falling off the plank, as it were, trying to keep sane, that's the main thing. And speaking to rational, level-headed people always makes it a little bit easier, and staying away from the absolute wrong-uns at this point in time, mate. So thank you, and thank you for your time anyway. Same again, thanks for Great Brit, because he's the one that's linked us up here. Mate, I don't even know where to start it. I just want you to start from the beginning, because if we can get to the waves of your life that's brought you to this point now, it'll be quite amazing. So I'm going to shut up at this point. If you could please explain who you are, what brought you to this point in terms of getting into this country, and we'll hopefully come in with a few questions here and there along the way.
Of course. So everybody, you can see my name, and Phil has already introduced me. I'm Francis. So I am from Pakistani descent. I was born in Pakistan. I moved here in 2014, but there's a backstory to me moving here alongside my family. Me and my family, all of us are ex-Muslims. We were the ones, we ourselves started searching what is written in the Quran. And this is how we were all just pretty ashamed and could not deal with the fact that, and the things that are written there. Started searching on things, we research, took 2 years. So in 2011, me and my family decided to leave Islam altogether because we couldn't handle our subconscious just told us, like, no, you can't be part of this.
Right. So sorry, mate, just to jump in here. 2011, your family as a whole unit decided to leave Islam.
Yeah, my immediate family, yes.
Okay, now how many members are we talking about there? You don't have to give names like that.
We're just four.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the thought processes behind that? What made you come to them conclusions, and how long was it that you were considering when you first felt that things was not going right in terms of the way you regarded Islam or the way other people were worshipping Islam? I mean,
Well, I because like one day my sister was the one who decided to see, okay, what's we read the Quran without translation, so what we read is just Arabic, and then we don't particularly know or read the actual translation of what the book is really saying. And what we decided, my sister and I just sat down one day, just started chatting, and then mum got involved, and we were like, yeah, you know what, let's see what it really said, because all we listen to is the whitewashed version by the imams and the Muslim scholars, who normally on YouTube or even in the mosques they say everything. I'll come clean. I was never particularly a religious man myself ever. I've never been involved into massively. I wasn't really a devout Muslim. Let's just say it that way. And so did my family. We were all westernized in our ways. Because I stayed in the British schooling. I studied GCSEs. So which is why I've had more British schooling throughout my life. My family was very moderate and liberal in their ways. We were just Muslims in the name itself, rather than devout or religious in any shape or form. We never like fast or anything. So this
right.
is why it
Now,
was
can I just
easier.
ask, would you have got um, some kickback from people who would interpret Islam a bit more devoutly than you because they could see that you were practicing it in the way you was?
Yeah. So I would say it's especially my mum's brothers and my few extended family. They were like, well, they didn't like us particularly from the start. We were always misfit in Pakistan, anyways. We were
Really?
never. We were always westernized. My mom's westernized, my sister, and we didn't have those issues. Like wearing Eastern clothing or something. So a lot of people look down on us constantly, but we thankfully were particularly safe because I studied in the most diverse schooling ever. I studied with people who were from Far East Asia. I've studied with white people. I've studied with black people. So it was nice that I had a schooling from the very start, which was quite diverse. And my mum and it was my grandfather who made sure that we study not the Pakistani education, more like the British education throughout our lives. And
Right.
it was good of my grandfather and my mother. When I
Mm.
say my grandfather, it's more like my mom's father. He
Mhm.
was the one particularly quite keen on us to have real and good education throughout our lives, to, be like him, because he was never religious. He used to drink, he used to smoke, and yeah, people do drink in Pakistan. In case people do not know, everything happens underground,
Yeah.
but it's not openly done. But there are places where you drink. Because
Right.
my first ever drink in Pakistan was Shavas Regal, which is available there. Yes, you can go to
Really?
Tesco and buy it too. So that
Right.
was my thing. So
So
I
can I
was
ask, if you was at Tesco and you want to buy a bottle, right? Are you not going
yeah.
to get frowned upon because you're buying liquor?
No. Over here, nobody cares. But I'm saying
Yes.
in Pakistan, over there, like everything happens underground. So there's certain hotels that have bars and stuff,
Right.
and so you go to them and just pay them some money, and they just give you the bottles and stuff,
Francis, that
whatever
sounds
it
like
costs.
prohibition in the 1920s. You know, when the Keystone cops
Exactly.
come in on the top floor, they pull a lever and everything changes round. And it's like, what the hell? What was
Yes.
that like to live like? Or what was it like? Sorry, mate. It sounds like I'm keep diverting. It's just because it's so
It's fine.
interesting. And this is a side that
Yeah.
probably a lot of people won't realize. So, what was that like to live like that? Knowing that there
Um,
was that two-tier thing going on.
Well, it was a bit odd in a way because my dad used to drink when we had bottle of wines at home. We used to just stock them up and just drink. Uh, but we had to be very careful, like especially when some extended family came. We didn't allow them to go in the kitchen. We didn't allow them to go to certain like where our dining area where we've got the bar set up and all that. So we had to be a bit careful in these regards. Like I remember the biggest thing I do regret that I could not bring back from Pakistan was the glass collection my mum made. It was a glass collection of at least 500 different glasses. Or different wine glasses, different prosecco, and different gin and tonic glasses.
Right.
So yeah, we've always been like that. So it's not like we were like some sort of devout Muslim. We were never anything like that. But what really changed in 2009 was me looking and searching of some people who actually criticize Islam in the best way possible. Google actually just showed me two people who were quite prominent. First was Tommy, second was David Wood. And I was like, right, I'm going to search on them. So my sister started searching on Tommy Robinson, and I started searching on David Wood, who's Act 17 Apologetics on YouTube. And we just opened our eyes. We were like, this is what it says? Then we go into the Quran, and it is actually there. And then they speak about the other books. It's more like, because Islam is not just compilation of just one book. It's got a lot of books which carry the whole religion together. So it's Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and all those other books that create a whole ideology out of it.
And all these books are only ever recited in Arabic?
No. So Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari have different are available in different languages. The Quran itself, you need to read it in Arabic, but there are different, but there are translations for it in all languages available around the world.
Is the translation accurate to the Arabic semantic language itself?
There are certain, yes, there are certain Quran which is actually has a real translation of what the Arabic would be. So in Arabic, supposedly, like Adam Salam, which means how are you? So the real translation is available in certain Qurans, but we talk about there are certain Quranic versions which are whitewashed. So they've changed the wordings. And this is what they particularly do. So they've changed the wordings into milder words. Supposedly, it would say in certain places like, Jews cannot never be your friends. So Jews are your enemies. And then it was like, okay, then Muhammad turned against Jews, and then Christians said, no, we don't want to follow you. Then he turned against Christians as well. Then on another verse it said, Jews and Christians will never be your friends. Then he turned against pagans as well. All non-Muslims are your enemies. You can never be friends. So certain things, certain aspects of the Quran when we read, and then watching David Wood, the way he completely expels the whole argument. Where Muslim apologetics make, Quran is perfect, it's perfectly preserved. Quran's not perfectly preserved. It was burnt so many times. It was changed so many times. They lost so many verses and chapters in itself that the Quran is not even the way it was at the time.
I don't think any book is true, authenticated in terms of if you're going to follow it from the religion that they describe that it come from. It's a series of Chinese whispers, I feel. And I feel all religion is based on that premise. And I think the hatred, the way we divide each other on the premise of something that no one can really verify to the fullest extent in which you're trying to promote it. That is the thing that I wonder why in the 21st century, modern man still buys that crap. Seriously?
Yeah.
But go on, mate. Go on. Sorry if you want to say.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I was like, go for a question. I'll carry on.
No, I was just going to ask. So when you were discovering this, what did that make you feel about Islam itself? I mean, you've been following it. I know your family was starting to ask questions, but surely you must have friends who were more into Islam. So what was you having any conversations with them? Was they noticing anything about you? What was you feeling about Islam in general while this process was going on?
So by the whole process taught me and my family, we decided like, look, whatever we're feeling, we can't really project it out or show it in Pakistan, because if we do, we are bound to be killed immediately. If you question the word of God, which is the Quran, you're bound to be killed because you're an infidel straight away in the eyes of
Have you
Islam.
ever seen anyone being attacked or persecuted because they dare to speak out or they dare to
Uh,
question any element of it?
Nobody dares to question about it. Nobody dares to speak about it. It happens in certain villages, but where I was in Lahore, it's a quite modern city. So I was more like in a gated community where a lot of things happen underground. So it was more like, so I was more secure in my area. But there are certain parts of Lahore which are a no-go area for anyone who is a bit modern in their ways. People, because there's a lot of people who can make fun of you, people who can target you. So yes, I was in the good part,
Right.
more like where all the posh people live.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, so I've come through a good lifestyle in a way. I've never, so it's not like I've faced hardships in Pakistan or anything like that.
Mm.
But I know, life is all about ups and downs. So I'm not gonna say that my life has always been perfect. Yes. So what I was feeling, so I and my family, we completely just shut ourselves down, and we were like, we're not gonna talk about this to anyone else, but keep between ourselves. We're gonna make sure that we're gonna keep it between us. I could not approach to all my friends because I had to like, it's more like you're scared at that time, because if you say something and they tell anybody, they can congregate around a mosque and they can send them my way and get me killed immediately. So I had to
Wow.
be very careful who I voice it out to. This is what happened. So I made sure to sort of balance my life out, not talk about this. But when they're doing like, I never went to mosque. Like, it's not like Saudi Arabia where they've got shurtas, which is like religious police, and they beat you with sticks if you don't go to mosque and pray 5 times a day. But in Pakistan, there's no such thing. Even though they are the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, but still, it's not as Islamic as it seems to be by the name of it. So I never went out like and prayed in mosque. Even though people are praying, going into the mosque, I would always just walked around streets and whatever I wanted to do, and nobody dared ask me because first of all, wearing a jeans and a shirt or a t-shirt or shorts, well, and when I walk around like that, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna even bother him. He's too far away from us. So yeah, exactly. I never wore Eastern dresses. I always like threw them. So some of the extended family just gifted me some, one of those Eastern dresses, and I was like, do they even think I'm gonna wear it? I would rather throw it away and give it to a beggar. But there's no such thing as charity shops in Pakistan. Let me just put it out there. People, there are charities, but as for clothing charity, everybody wants to wear a new thing. So even the
Right.
poor people will be wanting to go for a new thing. They will never buy anything
Hmm.
or buy a used sort of thing,
Hmm.
as you say. So yeah,
So then you decided to, well, obviously you felt with the fear of talking about it.
yeah.
Have we missed anything out to the actual act itself in terms of you literally all making that conscious decision? And what does that conscious decision involve?
When we started reading all the verses which sicken us to death in regards to the child marriage that Islam allows, then it allows you to divorce, how the rules of divorcing underage girls, and then the rules of like, you can't befriend a non-Muslim. They're your worst enemies, they're worse the creatures. These sort of verses, we were like, no, we're not going to associate ourselves with it. we this is why it took us 2 years to actually make up a whole argument within ourselves, that, like, because Islam is indoctrinated in you when you're in a Muslim country. They just show you everything good about it, and they punch it inside your head that if you leave Islam, you're going to go to hell. So you have to fight within your conscience as well, and then speak up and say no. Then you say, my self-conscious does not allow me to actually go to a prophet who is, gonna say, a pedophile. marrying a 6-year-old and having sex with a 9-year-old, still prepubescent, still had sex with her. She did not menstruate. She did not have any periods yet. She didn't even reach puberty. This was it. In my conscience, I like, I'm sorry, I've been through like sexual abuse myself when I was a kid. So I see a man who is actually molested a girl because that young girl can't consent, no matter what argument Islam might give to me. They can't consent. So this is why I was like, no, I'm not going to be participating in this sickening, sick religion. I'm not.
Mm.
But
What
then
go on, mate. So go on, carry on.
sorry. But then I also always say to people who generalize, that's the wrong thing to do, because there are Muslims out there who completely have no idea of what Islam really is all about, because they've shown whitewashed version. The imams in the mosque would never ever explain to you or tell you the ugliness that lies in Quran, or the ugliness which was in this whole religion and the ideology. They don't tell you. So which is why they only know the good side of Islam. And if you ask certain Muslims, like, okay, what do you think of him marrying a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, then having sex with her when she was 9? Some Muslims reply would be, if they were old times and they were all religions doing the same thing, fair argument. Second argument is, how do you feel that you're actually following a prophet? Some are sickened by it, but those who are sickened by it and question it and say we completely deny it, they're the infidels. So they are immediately in Islam the infidels, because they've
Wow.
questioned the
Yeah.
word of God.
So it's
this
like
is why
every interpretation, if you don't get it exactly on point, you're rooted out, aren't you? Sounds like.
yes. So it was really it's these facts and pinpointers where you have to just grab them and just put in your brain and just think, look, you're going to focus to get the hell out of there. This is what happened. Moving on, left Islam in 2011 with my family. My father passed away, but he was never religious, so I knew he wasn't even a Muslim. And then this is why, because once you drink and then do everything, then you're not a Muslim. But yeah, then um, came 2 years, and then me and my family decided, look, we can't be here for what we believe, for being an ex-Muslim for all our life. We cannot be part of that country. We can't live there. It's too unsafe for us. We're constantly living in fear, and then we have to pretend all the time of we can't be ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to get the hell out of there. And then that's why I just say no. We're gonna make our way out. We're gonna do something about it. So yes, to everyone who's listening, yes, I was a refugee. Uh, I've got my indefinite, thankfully, so I'm legally here. Came here legally through a visa on a plane. So I did not come in a dinghy or something, as you guys see.
Yeah, have you got your dinghy in the garden? Sorry, mate. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. When it comes to coming over, what was the processes and how did you go about it in Pakistan to make that
Yeah.
happen?
So me and my family decided to actually get a visit visa and then apply for refugee status. And then we also understand that coming from Pakistan all the way here, and then whatever stops are we going to have, we have to apply for the refugee status, because the Refugee Convention Act, it says that the first country you get out of, the first country you're arriving at is the place where you claim the refugee status.
Sure.
But then, because me and my family, we came from Pakistan, changed the flight in Dubai, and then from Dubai to London. So Dubai is still a Muslim country. So we couldn't claim refugee status there. And this is why we were thankfully well off in that way. Things went for us. Nothing went against us. Landing on Heathrow, and then that was the first place where we can claim asylum. So nobody asked us anything. There was no questions, no issues. We are a normal family. We don't have any like of those sort of like, when people come from Pakistan, like there's a full entire family waiting for you there. That was it. Came here legally, thankfully, applied to Home Office and called them up, and then we had our interview. We spoke to the Home Office, and this was it. And then the legal process starts. So yeah,
Right. Okay.
this is the thing.
Right. Sorry, I've just got to butt in with a question here off Jedi Monk. That's why I've put it up. Can you ask him? Does he think we should allow Islam to be preached in the UK? I mean, that sounds a little bit. I think you probably any religion is entitled to be preached. I think you've got to diversify, like what you say. This is such a weave. I'll let you answer the question, mate. I mean, I've got my opinion, but I'll let you answer the question.
Sure. I'd say, if they should allow Islam to be preached in the UK, bring real Islam in front of people. Then let them decide what real Islam is, not what whitewash version that you're being given now, like the stalls that you go to, and they change the wording in the Quran themselves. A hypocrisy that they show, that they the whole word, the very first chapter of the Quran is a slap on the faces of every single non-Muslim out there, because they all are disobeying the God Himself. They all should be ashamed of themselves. Like there's so much, uh, there is so much more meaning in the first chapter itself if you read it in more detail. This is why I always say, if you want to teach Islam, teach them the reality of the whole thing. Teach them what it really preaches you, not the whitewash version. And I'll see myself how many ex-Muslims are there going to be. And I can
Sure.
assure you, I meet so many ex-Muslims. If people have approached me, so many ex-Muslims have come up to me and they said, "We love what you're doing. But the thing is, you're lucky that you weren't born here, and your family is also ex-Muslim, so you are openly able to do things because people don't particularly know who you are. Over here, because they're born here, they've got relatives here, they've got family here, and they're ex-Muslim between themselves. They're scared for their life because they know if anybody gets to know who they are in Islam, their martyrdom is the bigger thing. So what they do is if you kill an ex-Muslim, you're going to go straight into heaven. You're going to go straight into paradise. They don't care what will happen to them. There are certain radicals in our society, but then there are certain Muslims who want to reform Islam. Like Imam Tawhidi also himself says, in my lifetime and in his lifetime, Islam's not going to reform itself because it calls itself the perfect religion, and Muhammad himself, the perfect man. All religions have reformed themselves, from Hindus to Sikh to Christians, Jews to every other religion, you name it. They've all reformed themselves. They've moved themselves forward and brought themselves in the time that we are in. Islam is the only religion which completely avoids doing such a
I
thing,
agree
because
in some ways. The reluctance
yeah.
to do it. I mean, they don't want to approach the question. If reformation was to be done, who is to start that going? I mean, because it seems like a bit of a catch-22. The imams are certainly not going to ask for reformation because they are preaching to you that it's perfect. The average Muslim that does probably interpret the positive edicts out of the Quran, they certainly won't, because by doing that, it makes them critical of Islam itself, which then puts the target. So
Exactly.
I do get it does become, well, who's going to actually step up and be the man with the balls here and say, let's get the ball rolling?
People like us.
You're right. You are right, sir. And
People like us, people who are the real critiques of Islam, are the ones who are able to reform it. But then the Islam itself, when it says that this anyone who's a non-Muslim will go into hell, and all the Muslims are the ones who are going into heaven. So this is it. when they say that
Mm.
all the non-Muslims are the ones who are going to go into hell, and then Muslims will question, okay, we're going to be in this religion because it's going to take us to paradise. We don't want to burn in hell. Because Islam has one good tactics in its way, because they tell you that what sort of fire it's going to be. They're so detailed about these things because they don't
Yes.
even know even if the details are right.
Yeah.
And someone is saying, Anban, Islam is not the fastest growing because there's not Islam. The Muslims are not, people are not converting into Islam. It's because Islam, what they do is they have a lot of children. So it's growing because
Because of the
they're
population.
large families.
Yeah.
Like my family, we are just three, one brother, one sister, and then younger brother. So we are just three people. So we're not like extended large family like you see 8 or 9, 10 kids and in normal Muslim household. So yes, it's not the fastest growing religion. It's more like the fastest breeding religion.
Without a
So
doubt.
yeah.
And it does sound like some form of indoctrination. I mean, let's balance it out a little bit here, mate. It's obviously fair to say the majority of civilized, decent, law-abiding Muslims just probably fully don't know the fullest edicts of the Quran and don't particularly interpret their life
Mhm.
in that anyway. So let's talk about a couple of the positives. So we're not just
Okay,
all doom and gloom about Islam.
of course.
What is the
Um,
attractive part about Islam that you would stick to and keep away from all the radical stuff?
like love the other person as you would love yourself, feed the other person as you would feed yourself, clothe the other person as you would clothe yourself. So yes, Islam has good points too. Islam has like points where be gentle with your with your elders, and be kind to your youngest. Be respectful to everybody. Be in a good example of a great human being. Don't if you're stronger, show your humbleness. If you're weaker, enhance and make sure you're standing beside them so they can feel stronger. So there are good things in Islam too, and there's a lot of peaceful people, peaceful Muslims out there who do not want to see the terrorism going on, who do not believe that Islam is a religion of of terrorism and all, because they've not read all of those bad things, and they've not read a lot of certain verses. But there are people who genuinely believe that they're just daily working class, normal lives living people. They've not got no sympathy for terrorists like the way we do.
Yeah.
So there's good and bad in everything. This is why I say, once you start generalizing and once you start stereotyping everyone in the same boat, like a lot of people would hate me. A lot of people would say, "Oh, he's a refugee, so he should be one of them. He should be like one of those kind of people." But like
What I
people would
find,
look at me.
mate, Francis, I find that you're a narrative breaker.
I
Because
am.
in terms of not only on your thoughts of your faith and how you've come through your own journey, and you want to live the positive parts, but you don't mind calling out the negative. Also, with your eloquence, your education, which is same again, a lot of people are stereotype. We can't get away from that. You know what I mean? And the fact that what you stand for and what you're actually trying to project. You know what I mean? In a world where everyone seems to be getting radicalized, whether you're white, black, or freaking Muslim at this point in
Hmm.
time, these are the voices that a lot of people will get solace from. So you're a pure narrative breaker, mate. And I think let's jump onto this a little bit. How much of your accent has really bemused people when you come up and you words them up in your eloquence that you do? And I've heard the way you pose some questions when you do your man on the street stuff as well. That must
Yeah.
really flummox a lot of people because they're not expecting that, surely, even though that is
No.
stereotyping within itself.
A lot of people, when I approach them, or the way I would project myself, a lot of people are the first thing they have this poker face, or they have this weird face that they pull immediately. They're like, "Shit, what's this?" Uh, but then they try turning the whole they turn back to their normal selves, and they're like, okay, so let's answer right away, because this is what happens. A lot of people can't really understand, and when I tell my story to other people, when I talk to other people, they're like, we can't believe that, like, are you really from Pakistan? Like, are you like, are you lying to us or something? Like, where exactly are you from? And I'm like, no, I'm not lying to you. I don't have to lie to you. I've got all the proofs that if you want to see, I can prove you everything. But you know what? This is what they do. And then especially being a challenge to narrative. So yes, I'm a narrative breaker for the far left. I'm a narrative breaker for the far right. I'm a narrative breaker for even right wing and left wing. But as soon as I meet centrists, people who are more center left or center right, they're the ones we and I get along with the most. So I've
Isn't
not,
that weird, Francis?
yeah,
That's what I find. And I'm not saying people who have then gone on this journey, because I've also known, sir, people on the left and on the right that have then gone on the journeys and broadened out and they've become
yeah,
far right, far left. They become more extreme within this journey. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you know what I've got a lot of respect for more than anything on this journey? People who are still here that are in that central position, not
yeah,
taking too much from that, not taking too much from that, listening and taking on board bits from both sides. Because this
yeah,
is where it seems redundant to me to stick a flag in one side, because there are subjects and topics in reality that is going to tickle the most of the people if you stay in that central position and then balance
exactly.
yourself. And that way you can actually critique each side as well as you complimenting it and build yourself up that way rather than go down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole, you know?
This is why I always say to people, ask me, oh, you're more conservative. So I'm personally more center right leaning. And I always say to people, look, I will read all the way from Guardian to the most conservative newspaper out there, which is Telegraph. I would read all of them because I'd like to know what side is saying what and what side is saying what, and then come to a conclusion myself with the facts and different opinions. And yeah, this seems more right. They're saying a right thing. They're saying the true. They're projecting the true story. So I'm not going to say all. We should just banish everyone for just because their political leaning is different from us. All the spectrums should be judged. It's just knowing the fact that we need to be more balanced in our ways, as you said. This is why a lot of people question me. They're like, you criticize you criticize the left more, but you don't criticize the right. And I'm like, you can watch my videos, and I criticize both sides.
Mm. And
The
in,
thing is,
sorry, mate, in terms of treatment that you get back, is that evenly proportionate in terms of, do you get the same flack from the left or the far left? Because let's face it, you're probably digging into them more than anything. And as
yeah.
opposed to the far right, or do you get one that's a bit more off it than the other, or is it no big, how's that work with?
Like, I get slack from both sides. I get slack from right wing as well, because some of them just come up to me and say, you're just using takia. And I'm like, right, okay, so I'm using the art of lying from Islam and saying that I'm an ex-Muslim. I don't know how you work that out, but maybe use a maybe you just try using two brain cells you might not have, and then understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then there are certain people who would say, oh, you can't criticize this person, you can't criticize that person. And I'm like, no, we can criticize anyone who we want to, because it's our personal choice of who we criticize. But the thing is, criticizing someone and maybe questioning someone, debating them, is not a wrong thing.
Mm.
It's how we learn from each other. It's how we understand each other. It's how we actually can come to a conclusion that, yeah, this person's not bad as the media projects them to be. So this is why I would speak to all sides of the spectrum. And I would go up to left-leaning people, and if they are saying something stupid, so I'll just go up to people and ask them a question. A lot of people can see on VK that what I do is I go up and I ask humble questions. I approach humbly. I'm diplomatic in my ways, and then once they answer, and I sort of like ask them a bit of challenging questions too, if I feel like that I can possibly do it without feeling a bit of feeling a bit vulnerable in the positions, because I'm surrounded by so many left wing, and anybody knows who I am. That's it. I'm screwed. So then there are certain people, and then what I do is once they're done and once they leave, then I do a comment and I say like, look, these people don't even know what they're doing. Some of them don't even have reality, or they don't even read up or what they're there for. Some people just standing there for fun. Some people are just there to party because they've got nothing better to do. So yeah, I do.
You're a dangerous guy when you come across like that. And I say that in a way that you're knowledgeable and you're conscious of your knowledge. And that is frightening to a lot of people that are triggering, virtue signaling without the strength and the consciousness to stand by the convictions. They're just there because it's trendy to do it. Oh, I'll stand here. But then when you ask them a basic question, they're gone. Because all they're doing is being a group thinker. They're not thinking for themselves. Can I ask one question, Francis? When did you first decide that, you know what, not only have I moved away from Islam and my family has, I'm now going to pick up a camera and start walking around. When was that conscious decision made from you?
When I came here in 2014, I saw being a patriot in this country is frowned on. I saw how the mainstream media projects such people who just want to wave the flag or St. George's flag. The way they project them was a trigger point for me, and I was like, so you can't be patriot in this country and fly a flag of your own very country because it's frowned on. Fine, okay. Then I started seeing what BBC does, how it just makes fun of white people and just say, oh, these are far right people. And then I search on them more and then say, these people are not particularly far right. They've just got their own opinions. They're labeled far right anyways. Then I saw how there is a very divisive nature BBC has. And then a lot of ITV, the entire mainstream media has very divisive nature. They will show something for someone, and then they'll show something for someone else. So it depends on where they are, and they've got certain narratives that they show. So supposedly, if white people are complaining about something, they're called fascist or Nazis. And if if a Sikh community is saying something, oh yeah, we actually feel sorry for them. Yes, we need to listen to them more. And I'm like, so one rule for one race and then the other rule for another race. I'm like, how does that work? This is what the triggering points were for me. And then I started doing everything myself. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go and ask people questions. I'm going to go to these places where I did not even know existed. Speakers Corners was introduced to me by people in 2015. Around mid of the year. So that's when I started going and like challenging people and say, okay, tell me, what is this all about? But then this is how I just said, okay, you know what? I've got a whole setup here. I'm into my creativity. I like people talking. I like my journalism side, where I can just go and talk to people or be a columnist and give my opinions out. And I do all these things, and it's taught me a lot, more than I could imagine. And this is why now I can debate with a lot of people. And then in my schooling, I was always a debater. My teacher would say something wrong, and I would debate her. I'm like, I challenge accepted. So my teachers were like, even my teachers had issues with me because I was just a challenging person from the start. It wasn't just because of my grandfather. It was always like, be stoic, challenge anything which is happening wrong in front of you, and then stand up for yourself. And I was like constantly, my grandfather was like, do it, and this was it. So I just became that kind of a person from the start, where I just said, you know what, I think I meant to do such a thing. And when I just changed the whole narrative, and the people say, supposedly I would give the biggest example. Sometimes when people say to me, oh, what did you vote for? I was like, I voted Brexit. How dare you? You voted Brexit. being an immigrant yourself, how you like,
Wow.
you don't even know you racist,
Francis,
Nazi,
that's the
bigoted.
equivalent of saying, Francis, get back in your cage and let me lock you back
Exactly,
there. I was once
exactly.
told at a march that I was a traitor to my own sort, which is pretty much the same thing as you've been taught. It's that said to. It's that level of disgust that I can't believe you are acting like this. You are this colour, and this colour denotes that you should be doing this. So what are you doing? It's like they can't accept you're a free thinker.
Exactly, because this is why I've been called a race traitor. I've been called a Oreo, coconut, uh, coon, anything you just name it. I've been called it.
Wow.
Nazi, homophobe, transphobe, bigoted, anything. Just name it. I've
And are
been
they
labeled.
predominantly white people or black people or ever
Uh,
all of the mix? What
I'm
would
talking everyone. I'm talking
right?
literally everyone from the far left.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but obviously, predominantly we're in a predominant white country, so of course, more people I'm going to come across as white people in different
yes,
cities,
yes.
just outside the bubble of Londonistan or bubble of M25.
I love
When
the
I
way
go out
you
of there,
you can't actually say London anymore, can you? You just it
no,
has to be London.
even though I live in London, but guys, I always say I live in London for the very reason because I'm allowed to show you different things that happen here. This is why someone's got to be here to show you the shit show. Sorry for the
It's all
language,
right, mate.
but
It's all
this
right.
is what this is what it's all about. Someone's got to be here to show you the drama. So
Yeah.
that's why I say. But then yes, left always tells me you can't have such opinion, and then white liberal lefties from Islington bubble, from the Islington bubble from North London, living in the posh houses. They're saying, we are doing really good for you. We are there to help people like you. We are there to speak out for you because you're oppressed. I'm like, I'm not oppressed, my dear. I came from Pakistan. Go there and tell people that they're oppressed. The first thing they'll do is slap the hell out of you and just tell you to go piss off.
Well, to be fair, I mean that's how there's been a true grievance with the likes of Black Lives Matter, I guess, over
Yeah,
history. Yeah, I get that. I do believe there's elements where it has working itself out, and race relations generally. I'm not talking about America. I'm talking about England has generally improved, and people are learning to
yeah,
intermingle. And there are issues with assimilation and all that kind of stuff, with influx of many different uh, people from different countries. You know what I mean? England is
yeah,
that hotbed, but not many people that come in truly assimilate that what you would regard come British, and
yeah.
we live them values. Um, but the one thing you can't do, you can't castigate, and it's really
Mm,
dangerous ground to come across on that level with that, and it's a stereotypical thing again, but. Just sweeping aside a little bit, mate, just before I actually forget, there's one point I wanted to get into before we start talking about what you feel about Black Lives Matter moving along. You were talking about you lost your job recently, and
yes.
something that I regard as one of your colleagues basically give you the heads up and give you a profound bit of advice because they
Yeah.
obviously know you as an individual, but they could see what was happening around you. Do you want to just
Yeah.
talk about that just a little bit, mate?
Right. So it was June, just near the end of June, where because of my live stream, some people from BLM and some people from Antifa came into my place, and my work colleagues did mention to me what these people looked like. And I did not know any of them. Like I said, no, I've not met them or anything, so I wouldn't know what they were, who they are, or something. Uh, I lost my job because apparently I follow an extremist and I criticized BLM openly and I exposed them of who they are. And this is why I shouldn't be allowed to work in such place. I didn't question, I didn't debate, I didn't argue. I was like, thank you very much. It was a lovely time over here. It worked for a few months, still worth it. Thank you so much and goodbye. Before I left, my manager and all my ex-colleagues came up to me and they met me. And my colleague gave me a certain advice. And she was like, Francis, I understand you're living a very dangerous life. You're really a huge resistance to a lot of things. Just adding there, before I move on, it's like a BBC presenter actually calls me an angry brown resistance. Don't know why, but yeah. And then left calls me human error. So yeah, I even though she knew what I was like, what my political leanings are, what I'm like as a person, but I'm a hardworking guy. So this is why I lost my job. But my manager did mention to me, you need to be more careful. They are going to target you wherever you go. But the thing is, I know who you really are. I couldn't save your job because at the end of the day, they went to the higher people who cannot, like, we as managers cannot challenge for what they ask and what they say. And this is why my manager was like, well, I wish you best of luck, but if you need any sort of help or anything, just keep in touch. Unfortunately, I don't think particularly after this they're gonna leave you alone, because now they've seen what you've done.
Yeah.
They see what you are. In a good way, she said it's good that because they know where you work, they now you're gone from there, they're unable to attack you, because you never know what the sort of savages they really are. And I use the word savage not easily, because they are savages. They come and attack you, because I would say when I was at Churchill statue, the day when the whole drama kicked off and the Churchill was a racist, was, you know was Churchill was vandalized and everything. I was there every day, and that was the first time I did my live stream, and a lot of people watched it. There were like at least 35,000 people watching at the same time around the world.
Wow. Wow.
Uh,
And what
so
was going on? What was? I mean,
so
I know
there
there's
was
a lot of kerfuffle.
there were
Was it
people.
violent?
It was violent, but there were people who were shouting BLM, and I was just exposing of what they're doing. They were desecrating Churchill's War Memorial. They were writing stuff down. They were just throwing and thrashing stuff, and that's what they were doing. And I showed what was happening around all that time, and then how they were attacking the police, and then how they threw glass bottles, anything you name it, they threw it on the police. And that very day, there was no such thing as riot police. That the black team that in the black
Yeah.
uniform, they come in and they just
Yeah.
barge on everything.
It was soft police, wasn't it? Soft
They were,
uniform.
exactly
Mm.
who were just facing and doing everything. All they got was helmets, and they were just pushing everybody across, and that was it.
Yeah.
This is how I started up. But then
Now, can I
I
just say, Francis, I'm sorry for keep sounding like I'm butting in, but these are relevant points. You
it's fine.
say there, obviously, the soft uniform of the police. Now, isn't that ironic? Because you were talking about how different it is on the right when the right do various marches. Now, some of
Yes.
them may determine that it has a heavy police presence, depending on the organisation, depending on what. I'm not going to answer that, but what I will say, that's not right for all of them to be treated that way. Now, what I will say is, I've been to tens of marches over the 2-3 years. Most of them have been sweet, all well-intended organisations. You'll get a few muppets there that probably lower the tone, but other than that, general. What I do see is the police are riot police every time. There's no soft police at these events. They're all literally different tactical forces, some in blue jumpsuits, some just, and it's like, how can you let the left or BLM, which at that time, Francis, sorry, I'm going to bring you onto this.
It's all good.
It was disproportionate, the amount of black people that were getting coronavirus just after the lockdown. So why is it then the left allow a series of events that is held by predominantly black people and some freaky socialist white people to congregate, mass congregate? Where's the logic with that, Francis?
I'm gonna come back to this whole thing, and I completely
Sorry, mate,
got
I'm
your
giving you
whole.
all
No, it's all right. I've got all your opinions in my mind. The worst part is when it comes to the whole, as I was saying before. So after the job loss and everything, then I started exposing them more and more and more and more. Like I was exposing this girl from Oxford. That was my plan, and thankfully it all came into place with the person I exposed her with. Sorry, and this was it. And then what's the logic behind the whole thing? So yes, what happens is when the left congregates, when the left does all the things, the soft police is always there because I don't know, there is something wrong in the society over here that the police just always attacks more left, more like police always attacks more right-leaning people because they're patriots and they've got more, like they've got anger in them. So this is perceived immediately because if you see throughout the whole history of which I've studied, thankfully, the history of the right-wing people in this country, they come with a lot of passion and anger whenever they're on the streets. When if you see from the past of how the left approaches streets and protests, they're more they're more lenient in the way they come across.
Yeah.
There's a lack of passion, and then there's a lack of anger there. This is why the police approach have stereotyped the ways they come across to
Sure.
political leanings in the protests and the leanings and and the rallies, whatever they do. But what I
You
don't
think that
understand
the
is,
class system's got involved there? Because what you
yes,
kind of could be saying, predominantly the right is mainly working class. Working class tend to deport themselves in a certain way, and they're not ashamed of it, and nor should they be. I'm a working class. Whereas the left and the far left tend to be more middle class, mainly a bit more affluent. So do they deport themselves differently on the street? Thus, what you're saying is the difference in the way that they're policed.
yes, because if you so when I go to left leaning rallies or protests, the way they come across with people is like they'll be much more affluent. They'll speak in a certain manner, and then they approach people with more decency, with more the eloquence, as you say. They will be more understanding in their ways. When you go to a more predominant of working class rallies, where they have passion between themselves, they have anger for something, and they want to protect someone or produce something, their passion and their anger, which is being built up for so long, that they're because of those reasons they're on the streets, they're deemed to be more far right or racist or fascist or whatever, even though they're not.
Yeah.
But this is because of this is what left wing are really good at, because they have control over what they do. But then the narrative breaks then because I come in, where I expose the left wing rallies of how peaceful they really are, with the abusive language they use, with the death threats they give, with the amount of like BLM is the biggest example. All the like in Yorkshire we call them self-loathing whiteys. No offense to any white person, it's just what we call them in the lefty loonies. Um, they're self-loathing whiteys. They hate their very own existence,
Mm.
and like I approached to some people who are white on protests and rallies. Like I went to this Black Trans Lives Matter. I went up to white people and questioned them, what do you think of this? Don't ask me, ask a black person or a colored person, because I'm not in a good position to say anything, because this is not about me. I'm like, so you're saying, so you are there, I can't question you because you are white.
Basically,
How does
yeah.
that work out? How
Well,
does
why are
that
you
work
there?
out?
Why?
And then
Mate,
exactly.
you're talking about that now. Why are you doing that? And you just said you went to what, a transsexual Black Lives
No,
Matter,
a Black Trans Lives Matter. So there's
right?
Black Lives Matter, there's Black Trans Lives Matter, then there is Black Trans and Non-Binary Lives Matter, then there is a
Oh, good God!
there's just like all shenanigans and like
No, yeah,
da da
I'm
da
got to
da.
be honest here. I've got to be honest. Although, yeah, we are all very diverse, and within white society as well as black society, homosexuality and trans is happening. I think the attitudes in terms of heterosexual people towards that is warming a little bit, although it does come across very malicious, which is another far left tool in terms of attacking the kids with
Yes.
this mentality to change their mentality. But within the black population, I've got to say, they're not homosexual haters, but there's a high propensity of black people that don't dig homosexuality. So this is
Yes.
very uncanny and very two-faced to all of a sudden for the left to promote black people like this when this is not a reality. Same again, I'm not talking about black people that go out and go gay bashing or, attack homosexuals for their sexuality. But you ask the average West Indian, African, homosexuality views are not deemed in the best light, although there are many people that will just accept people for who they are. Now, what do you say about that, mate? Because I don't want to sound extreme here, but I do know that I've lived around black people, and I know, it seems a bit weird you saying that there's such a thing.
The funniest part is the gay culture in London. You go to Soho, you go to the any gay village around the country. How many gay men who are black or brown do you see in the country itself? You go to Manchester gay village, 86% of white people who are gays around gay village on the Saturday night are white predominant men. Then the other comes in Latinos, and which are predominantly more. And then few percent, well, 1 or 2% black people, and then maybe 0.5% of brown people.
And that won't be
And then
representative of them numbers of the amount that actually are.
Like exactly.
There'll be an element of, would Sharia be the wrong word to use? But there'll be an element of real, not anger, but just disdain on anyone who shows them kind of feelings, to the point where they feel that they can't come out and be themselves.
Yeah. And then, so the hypocrisy of BLM trying to promote more Black Trans Lives Matter or Black LGBT community, they need to understand one thing then. They're so funny in their ways, right? Of how they come across and how they say, oh, all, it's all about Black people right now. The transsexual part and the gay part of the whole thing, the whole agenda they're trying to put across. You go speak to a gay black man. His family has battered him. He's not part of his own family anymore. They don't like him. He's been kicked out. None of his black friends want to be around him. How many black gay men I have met, and they've always said this. There's so many interviews out there. People can actually look on any magazine or website. Majority of the gay people who happen to be black are ostracized by the society, and then within the gay community as well, that they are sadly nobody wants to. There are people in the gay community itself who say no blacks or no Chinese. Then there are people like that. Even though a minority is targeting another minority, these things happen in the gay community too. So there's a massive hypocrisy of LGBTQ plus community. So
that all colors are living, and you can be homosexual, you can be what you want.
Yeah.
What they're negating to tell you is that each community has its own bias against that.
Yes.
And it's not been sorted out yet. You can't just push that in people's faces and expect everyone to wear that. I mean, look at this here, mate, what I've just shoved up. Black Power Rebels. This is a link that was sent by one of the A-Team, a group that I'm in a chat with. The group is not for gay supporters or gay sympathizers. If you are one of them, please leave this group ASAP. There is no need to respond with your silly remarks. Just leave quietly and peaceful. There will be no compromising. If found trying to compromise or sympathize with gays, you will be removed. This group is for pro-blacks only. What do you think of that, Francis?
There we go. Then I speak to a lot of people. I actually did it when the last time when I was at BLM event. I asked a couple of Muslim girls and I asked them, BLM stands for Destroy Nuclear Family. So how do you feel that they want to destroy family which your religion completely believes in, and then your religion is against the trans people and gay people? How does that make you feel that they want to dismantle heteronormativity? We didn't know that. We didn't know this. Oh, no, we're not about that. This is against our thing. We can't be part of this. I'm like, you're here in the rally for them. How does that make you feel?
Exactly. They really don't know the politics behind the actual request, do they?
The last time when I was there, they were like pro-Yemen, pro-Palestine Saudi Arabia is doing this and this and this, and I'm like, right. And then there's trans community there. I'm like, there's chanting stuff like Allah Akbar, which means God is great in Arabic. Takbir, which means hail, Allah Akbar. And I'm like, this is a BLM thing. This is on my live stream on VK, which anybody can go and see. My profile is open for anybody to watch. All my videos are open for everybody to watch, and I can show you. They chant all these things, right? The BLM is infiltrated in so many various organizations like LGB Alliance or Trans Alliance, Muslim Community,
Antifa,
Pro-Palestine, and Antifa,
Muslim Brotherhood.
Marxist, Muslim Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood. There's so many people who have conjoined themselves together just to dismantle the government and its people and the white people. They're all against a full society. Now, if you look at my family, my mum is just you wouldn't even know she's Pakistani. She looks more white than anything.
Right.
Yeah, she's got fair skin. She's got blonde hair.
I tell you, mate, you must have wonderful parents because they give you the even balance for you to be you, and they've had the balls to question what they've been indoctrinated in all their life, and
exactly.
And then to literally teach you to either if you want it or if you don't want it. That is ultimate fairness. Slightly changing the subject here, mate, but on Black Lives Matter still, if you can, have I put this clip up? Let me just put this clip up. I want you to have a look at this. You may have already seen it, but I just got this sent again. It was by one of the members of the A-Team. Now, I would love you to meet the A-Team at one point. It's a group of people, all different demographics, but all got our opinions, but rational thinking, and all really work together. And I'd love you to jump on a stream with us all one day, Francis. But
sure.
This is from Jason, so thanks to Jason, but this is someone who's obviously been indoctrinated with the Black Lives Matter now, and this is where you've gone from what is a normal everyday redress about issues of stereotyping and racism that is there, but not harshly, and things are getting better, but it is worth redressing, I guess, but not to the level it's done. But now has invited what can be only described as militant behavior, mate. So just have a look at this and see what you think.
Hands off. And then there's heifer running against Ayanna Presley. This one here with the white husband. At some point, we're going to have a conversation with black folks who get in a relationship with white folks and then forget that they black. We're going to have that conversation. And I know it's going to fuck with y'all nerves, it's going to be uncomfortable, but we're going to have that conversation because if white vagina and white penises jeopardize your melanin, then we need to sit in the back of the classroom and this ain't your part of the show and you don't get to talk right now. And so you practice some self-love, know your history, and realize where the fuck came from. This ain't your part of the show. We need you to sit back. I need all the people that understand what it is to wake up black, regardless of how many educated gang symbols you have at the end of your name, regardless of how...
Regardless of how many educated gang symbols you have at the end of your name. Is there such a thing as an educated gang symbol? And the very nature of a gang symbol means black on black. So they're still kind of celebrating black on black just to attack the white. I mean, I've not even gone through it here, mate. Is there anything you want to say at this point from what you've seen from that, or do you want me to keep playing it?
Actually, keep playing it. I'll give you a whole statement in this regard.
Okay.
Close in proximity you are to white supremacy.
Oh, it's just stopped for some reason. I beg your pardon. There you go. Why is... Oh, no, don't want to play the game. Let me just see if I can come out, go back in. Do apologise. No, it won't. It's froze for some reason. Oh, well, there you go. Even StreamYard doesn't like what she's saying. I mean, that's the bottom line to it. Let me just try one more time to see if I can get into that. No, it just... No. Oh, let me go in that way. No, it seems to be buffering like mad. Are you gonna
hands off? And then there's heifer running against Ayanna Presley. This one here. then we need you to sit in the back of the classroom and this ain't part of the show and you don't get to talk right now. And so you practice some self-love, know your history, and realize where the fuck you came from. This ain't your part of the show. We need you to sit in the back. I need all the people that understand what it is to wake up black, regardless of how many educated symbols you have at the end of your name, regardless of how close in proximity you are to white supremacy, regardless of how many white penises you ride. And I ain't mad at Simpsons because riding that motherfucker credit score, get you that house, get your 48 acres and your mule. Just don't forget.
Get your 48.
That you choose a nigga.
What?
Haitian black man. But I get it. He living in Utah. He getting pink uncooked vagina. I get it. I get it. What I need you to do though is keep your mouth shut on black shit. If you ain't ready, you be black. That's what I need you to do. Shut the fuck up. Bro, and be disrespectful. And I'll be damned if I let this melanin adjacent woman whose proximity to white supremacy is so disgusting, right? Be disrespectful to our congresswoman because white folks have convinced her that she been drinking water. I don't know. I just white folks have convinced her that she was better. I don't know. She's one of those. She's an exceptional Negro. Is that what it is? She crossed county lines to disrespect a white woman. Malcolm X would have somebody fucking head off. Or ordered the mother.
Oh, I'm glad it stopped there. Jesus, yeah. Francis, you come in, sir. What have you got to say about that?
This very peaceful, very educated lady, she called other people degenerates and stuff. Well, if she goes to Pakistan, right? She would go to Pakistan. The way black people are treated in Pakistan to this day, the words they use like Habshi and
what
Kala,
does that mean? What did I
Habshi is equivalent of N-word or in Arabic and in Urdu. Or they would say Kala or Kallo, which means black, in a very derogatory way. This is what they call them. And still today in Pakistan, they do such things. And she calls them degenerates. She said anything like this in Pakistan about brown people. Imagine the state she would be in right now. She goes and speaks like this in Saudi Arabia or in Lebanon, where people are pretty fair in their color. She'd be publicly executed. In America, this is why I say in America and Britain, these sort of people, I actually love a meme. I came from a country where I talk shit about it, just in the hopes in the country I'm in, I turn it into a same shithole. This is what they're doing. No offense to anybody. They do such a thing. It's just highly disgusting.
It's importing the mentality, isn't it? That's what it is.
They don't know anything different because these people have stayed in their own groups. So she's saying, "Oh, so interracial marriage is now bad." Well, how many times? If you ask people, so a black man marries a white girl, or a black girl marries a white man, and they have mixed race children. How many black people I have come across, which I have, because I'm going to let you know, I was robbed, and which is why I've lost all my equipment. I lost everything I did. YouTube deplatformed me, so I've lost literally everything that I've done. I had a massive loss, but now I am back to it. But I'm going to expose more things. I met some black people who actually call mixed race people. These things are the ones which give us the ugly name. These things are not. These things are. We don't want these things near us, because these things are. And they use the word things, and these are black people using the thing word in this country for mixed race people, for black and white mix. This is why I always say my color of the skin is very beneficial for me for there, because I can actually go to people and infiltrate into places where a white person can't think of, or a white person can really put himself in a massive, huge danger by doing so. I have heard a lot of bad things. I have suffered. So I'm gonna say, which I was saying before. So a black girl called me a pea bastard more than anything. A black guy actually smashed a bottle, a glass bottle, on my head the very day I was cleaning Churchill, and the very first video I made. Black people have abused me. Brown people have abused me. I've been called huge, huge things by a lot of a lot of Muslim societies, and then white people call me, "You're the human error. You should be ashamed of yourself. Go kill yourself. What are you doing here? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you like they can't be racist to
Yeah,
other minority ethnics,
yeah,
but then
yeah,
when it comes to me, they can be as openly racist as they want to be, because I I am someone with beliefs, but I'm in the wrong color for those beliefs. And
yes.
this is what left right likes to project on you.
Mm.
Because if you're a bit conservative, right leaning, more like right leaning in your ways, they they don't want to know you because you're the wrong skin color. This is why they say the Priti Patel, people like me, Priti Patel, Rishi Sunak, or Sajid Javed. No, no, no. These are coons. These are Uncle Toms, Uncle Tommies. These are not the ones we associate ourselves with.
Mm.
And this is why I always say, when they do such a thing. But then a black lady can tell Priti Patel what racism is, but Priti Patel says so.
Mhm.
That's another thing. And yes, BLM leader, white's a subhuman genetic defect. Exactly. Well, let me question her then. If white people are such genetic defects, well, I am sorry, but black people also have been genetically changed a lot more than they can imagine. They have really come into a lot more of a different, they've changed
No,
as
I
the
get what you're
life has
saying.
moved on.
I get what you're saying.
So
Because by
so
nature,
brown
they've
people
moved
have,
from their indigenous environment, so by then you
exactly.
get genetic changes, even if
So
it's over
so
time.
we're all defects. We're all defected people. None of us are the real people who we
Well,
were
this is the
before.
same argument that's perpetuated in the early 19th century against black people.
Yes.
And this is where the idea come black people are apes, they've got nothing, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
They're literally subhuman. And it's so
Exactly.
crazy to have a 180 flip from a black woman who's lived through that to now project that against white people.
Yes.
Really?
Because the thing is, when we talk about these things, when black people are the ones who immediately, like if like H&M made an advert, and they put a monkey dress on a black mixed race sort of looking kid, racist, racist. You think we are monkeys? You think we are this? We are this? We are this? It wasn't even that. It was just a unconscious error. That was all it was all about. But because they live in the victimhood mentality all their lives, people of my skin color, brown people, also live in victimhood mentality, because they constantly victimize themselves to see these things and pick these tiny petty little things up and project their arguments in this way, that we live in victimhood mentality.
Are
Oh,
you
we are
feeling that
oppressed.
all
Oh, we
the
are
time?
this.
I'll never forget a couple of years ago, there was a big hoo-ha over a range of kids' T-shirts. And he just said something like cheeky monkey. And that's something
Yes.
that every parent called the little kid growing up. There
Yeah.
was no racial element to that. But yet the connotation was, because of monkey, we're now going to class that as, being racial, and you're being overtly
Yeah.
racial. And now having the goal to print it on T-shirts. So that's got to go.
Exactly.
If you're going to do that with everything in life, it must be awful for them knowing that each individual person on this planet actually grows up with their own brain, Francis. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure they'd love to be able to do one fucking brain cell fits all to everybody that's born, because it's like the moment you start to think for yourself, that's when the problem starts.
Yeah. Because people like me are, as you say, are the human error. People like you are the human error, because we are the wrong skin color who are saying what predominantly white people think. Majority of the working class. If we people of my skin color would vote Brexit, we are from the wrong skin color, because we this is why for brown people it's coconut, because white in the inside, brown on the outside.
Yeah.
Black people Oreo, so it's white in the inside, black on the outside. So there is a very deep meaning behind the words they choose. This is why left educates itself more and have targeted places like universities and colleges, because when I studied, I did a course here in England. I can tell you myself, in this country, people, I it's no, a lot of people ask me in the college, um, Francis, what do you think? What's your political leaning? I'm like, I'm centre right. Okay. Did you vote Brexit? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Um, Francis, well, the thing is, like, you're an immigrant yourself. How do you feel? I'm like, I'm absolutely fine. I believe that the country itself should govern itself, has its own rules. If a country is not allowed to deport criminals because some idiot in Germany, Angela Merkel, says so, I'm sorry, that's more authoritarian. That's more autocratic leadership. If you want democracy in a country, in a Western civilization, you need to govern yourself in order to have such sayings that no, if I'm an immigrant, if I commit a crime, deport the hell out of me. I shouldn't be here in the first place. If someone is not born here, commits a crime, throw them the hell back. Why don't we?
It's not racist to think that.
It's
It's
not
only
racist to
they want to
think that.
project it because the person who's done it is wrong and happens to be
Yes,
brown. So then you make it racial. It's like, no, give the same crime, change the different color skin. He'll get the same bleeding treatment. He's on that
exactly.
out with him, you know?
Exactly what happens in East London when Polish people commit a lot of crime, they go rob people and stuff like that. Or you see Romanian gypsies who would do such a thing. Then they go in the streets and pickpockets and stuff. And then you see a lot of black community as well. No offense to anybody, but then in London you see at Brixton, you can't walk in that area if you're alone at night, because it's unsafe to do so, and it's a predominant black area. And I would mention this straight away to people, but people will call me racist just for saying, because it's a predominant black area, it has a lot of high crime. People have been stabbed there. There's raves going on there. I live in London, this town, and I can tell you it shows a lot about itself. London is the only city in the entire whole United Kingdom where people have built colonies. It's a colonial city. There is no such thing as integration in this city whatsoever. You see Polish with Polish, black with black, white with white. Well, like white, when I say white with white, it's more like British with British, Pakistani with Pakistani, Indians with Indians. You never see that. Change my name if you see majority of the people who are integrating themselves within different communities, unless they're in a protest or a rally or there's a club going on.
Mm.
You don't see them normally. On these self-loathing YGs who call themselves that they're at BLM protests, when they come in their groups, I show these things as well. They're all within their own white bubble. None of them, and I go ask, I don't even have to ask these people because I already know. None of them even look like they've got black friends, but they're just there to look cool in their ways. And this is the hypocrisy and the reality of the whole situation. This is why I've lived in London, I've lived in Sheffield, I've lived in Grantham, I've lived in Lincoln, I've lived in Manchester, Liverpool. I've lived in so many different cities of this country. It was unbelievable. And I have seen what the cultural differences is. When you see, as soon as you go out of M25, you see a normal UK. As soon as you come into M25, between the boundaries of M25, you see a complete different England. It doesn't even feel like an English city anymore.
Mm.
We have people, and then when I say like going off a bit of topic, but then a lot of people ask me, okay, so you being a refugee, a lot of these refugees are coming, and then right point targets me and say, what do you? They don't want to talk about these things in front of me because they feel a bit ashamed. But I'm like, no, you can't be ashamed of this, because at the end of the day, those people are economic migrants. They don't care about this country. They're fighting age. There is a full agenda going on because these people are being taught. So this is what happens between brown communities and black communities, which people don't talk about. And then also I'm going to come on back to a point as well about your BLM issue with the congregation and China virus. coronavirus. Sorry, I'm unpolitically correct. So I'll just call it a China virus, to be honest with you. So when people talk about um, like this whole scenario, first I'm going to say the scenario of BLM that you mentioned, people congregating. So these people are congregating, but there were no spikes in London whatsoever, right? There was no spike. People just joined in, cramped in together in their thousands. No spike was ever noticed
Yeah.
in London because of those things. But then there was a spike in London, a spike in Leicester, and then they shut the city down. Let me explain this first, because the thing is, so the spikes happen, fine, in Leicester, but then these people are the ones who can do it, and the media, if media say, "Oh, it's all good, it's all fine." As soon as drink bars were open, you saw the whole media narrative change. Then when majority of the people went for drinking, and then how middle class people and these lefty loonies just look down on these working class people and say, "Look at them, disgusting beings. Look at those creatures." Jedi Monk, this guy is biased as. Oh, am I?
Based as that's a compliment, mate.
Oh,
Based,
right. Okay.
you're grounded. You know, you're on a level. I used to
Yeah.
think, what is it? I used to think that was a bit of a negative, like base bias. But well, what do you mean by that? But that's how I interpret it over the years.
Oh,
But
based as.
yes,
Oh, right. Sorry.
this is really hard for me now because I am going to have to cut this stream. One, because it's been going on for nearly an hour and a half, but I could go on for another hour and a half because this is
Yeah.
fascinating. But two, I'm going to have to release this room because it's the family room, and I'm going to have 4 family members going to rip me limb from limb if I don't get out of here pretty quick. So, with that, I mean, I really want to get you on with the A team in the next couple of weeks, if that's all right, sir. But
Yeah, that's fine.
before we go, I'd like you to outlay where anyone can get hold of you, your platform, you know, your Facebooks, whatever.
So I was deplatformed from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just name it. I've been deplatformed everywhere. So you can find me on VK. I've seen Great Brit actually has given out my link, and now you can find me on Parler. I'm approachable. Anyone can approach me, ask me anything, just message me. Everything is open. So there is no issue that like people can. Like, I'm humble as anything. If you just see me out on streets, you can just come up to me and say hello. But yeah, you can find me on Parler and VK for now. I am creating a YouTube channel. I've just got a laptop, so I'm gonna make sure to like build back a lot of things the way I unfortunately I couldn't for a couple of months. But yes, you'll soon see me back on YouTube, and especially the last thing I would say before you go, that those refugees coming in, there is a whole concept of between the brown people and brown and black people. They call back people, at their homelands, and they speak, "Oh, we get this for free here, this for free here, this for free here," and then these people come up here. These people are actually being told that these are the things you're going to get. But because of the refugees, basically they're coming from France. It's illegal for them to come here because France is already a safer country to be at. This is why I always say there's a massive difference. There is an agenda and a whole thinking behind this. This is going on. Which is why I always say, be very worried and just send letters to Priti Patel. Do anything, just do it democratically. I don't believe in violence, and anybody who acts violent, or anybody who's intimidating or actually has no respect for or decency, then I'm sorry, you can't bring a change. As soon as you act more decent, as soon as you act more respectful, that's it. This is how you can bring a change. And this is why I always say. But thank you so much again for letting me on to your live stream. We should definitely do
I'm
this again.
Mate, we should, honestly. I feel like there's a bit of a connection here, but I'm just looking through all this, and everyone's saying one by one, great guy, brilliant conversation, give it the likes, get a base chat. You know, it's like, what? What about me? I held this stream. What about me? So I'm feeling a little bit envious there, but no, mate, you deserve it all. You put yourself
Oh, thank you.
brilliantly. And like again, in the next couple of weeks, sir, I'm definitely going to be on you to come and join us as a group chat with a group, and I'd love you to meet them.
Absolutely.
And you'll get on, and I know your contribution is just going to be as valid as anyone else. So, mate, I'm sorry, but I am going to have to leave it there. But
That's fine.
Thank you for your time, and thank
You're
you
very welcome.
to everyone who's jumped on this stream, old subbers, new subbers, people who are just questioning and finding their way over YouTube. Big thank you to Great Brit as ever, the Spanner Man.
Yes.
And, honestly, just everyone, just look after yourself and remember, as weird as the world is with all the various videos that you do watch, there are biased, based people, I should say, like Francis, like myself, like many others, like Janaea, that are so against what is going on. And I've got no problem whatsoever in speaking out on that. And I think that in itself is a narrative breaker and something that the left won't want to see, but isn't going to stop us. So, mate, thank you for what you do. And thank you for seeing it through the eyes of a patriot, because every patriot will respect you for that. Even if you
I'm
don't.
a patriot myself now. When people ask me who am I say I'm English first and then anything else.
Wow. Well, let's leave it on that, mate. You are an absolute gem, Francis. Please follow this guy. I'll get any necessary links off you later, and I'll put it in the description for this stream, so anyone watching retrospectively can just click onto it and get through to your work, mate. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
You take care, mate. You take care, Francis, and I'll speak to you soon, yeah?
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. God bless. Right, take care.
You too, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
What a guy. I'm really sorry I had to cut it short. Could have got another hour. Look, even the lights going on me and everything. Thank you to everyone for jumping on. Don't forget, this is Red Pill Phil on YouTube. I'll be back again with another enormous stream. I love you all.
I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you all. 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 I love you all.